Computer. You want to introduce it?
This is the February 27th meeting of the Central Florida Computer Society Tech-SIG. We've been doing this for about 35, 40 years, I guess, in one form or another. There's no speaker, there's no agenda. We just go around the table and people bring up new hardware, new software, questions. We spent time on cars, sometimes swimming pools. We've had some hams that have taken control, aviation, virtual reality, that sort of thing. So we just
TVs.
Sorry.
Cars.
Well, I thought I'd also show screen share when it's my turn on the BBS and what's happening with it over on Discord. It's coming back nicely.
Okay. I muted myself so I could call Patrick Dowling. I was out at my physical therapy today. I passed his store and I invited him to join this. He's never been to any Zoom meeting since the COVID. He used to come in person, of course, to the Denny's, but he feels like the store, if somebody's coming in, he needs to be there. So he's there 7 days a week from like 10 o'clock till 7:30, I think.
James Thompson has a store also, Tech Bay USA. And I'm pretty sure he has an apartment in the back of the warehouse that he's there. So he's there 24/7. James's place is kind of a gadget nuts paradise. I mean, he's got at least one of anything you can think of that it's technology, and he's still collecting. So I've always claimed that technology procreates somehow, and I've been cleaning out my office since the days that Stan and Huey came over here and helped me clean out my office when I said I wasn't going to be doing much with computers anymore. And as I look around me, it looks just as crowded as it ever was. But I took several carloads or back trunks worth of stuff to James over the last 4 months. And I've still got stuff around me that I don't know what. My son has already said to me, if something ever happens to me, he's just going to throw it all away. So I figured I'd give it a new home, and I've been taking it over to Tech Bay.
I have a KVM switch with cables, and if anybody needs it.
Yeah, I got rid of a couple of those too.
I have one as well. Many years.
I still use a KVM. It's just a smaller, higher tech thing, because my office is set up with my screen in front of me with 2 monitors side by side, my main computer. And then I have a 45-degree angle corner desk, even though it's not the corner of the room, coming off my hutch, going to my left at 45 degrees. And that's where my 32-inch gaming monitor is, and my second desktop computer, which is going on 20 years old and running Linux. But that 32-inch monitor is amazing to watch some of these YouTube videos of landscapes and
So is it the curved Samsung?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I got. That's pretty awesome monitor. That's what I'm using now too.
Now, your 2 computers, one of them is Linux and one's Windows, or are they both Linux?
Yeah. No, Windows is on my gaming computer. Patrick is entered. Okay, let's admit him. Windows is the 3rd build of my medium tower. It's not a full tower, it's a medium tower. And probably the 3rd motherboard, the 2nd video card. And I was really into high resolution, fast response gaming for quite a while, but it got so addictive. I was spending every free hour playing it not only in my office, but on my desktop. And one of the games I played was an internet-based game that also had a mobile app. So I could be driving down the highway and it became my turn to move my attacking forces on the gaming board. And as I'm driving down the interstate, I'm making my moves and submitting them. So I know I was hooked. So
So you were playing strategy games?
yeah, there were turn-by-turn strategy games, and then there was real-time strategy. So Elder
Have you played Civilization?
I did some time back. I had a real nice version of the game.
Yeah,
Several different like that.
version 6 is amazing.
And I would sail my ships around the globe and put out my camping parties and try to conquer. So that actually was my introduction to Discord because it was a good place. Each game, there's about 5 that I played, and each game would have their own Discord with different channels for different guilds and groups that would adventure. And they plan major war games and weekend events and things like that. So, but I've got enough to keep me busy without that. So I don't do that now. Welcome, Patrick. Say hi. Unmute and say hi to all of us. Figure out how to unmute. Hello, Donna. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for asking. Oops. I wanted to say we have a mesh network thanks to my son, and we got it at Costco, and we had to get it for our solar panels, and we were also had to have a backhaul line to make our solar panels work. But we had to also get it because our juice box for our EV needed better coverage to the garage.
Yep.
So, you know, things get more and more. You keep investing more and more and more. Anyway, great success. My son came and actually did it all for my husband, but it worked. So everything's working. We're in good shape.
What brand of new EV did you decide on?
Ours is a Kia EV6 Wind with Tech.
They all
So,
come with tech.
Wind with, in other words, it has cameras everywhere.
Yeah.
And we finally, you know, the recommendation is charged to 100% once a month, because normally we just stop at 80. And when I finally looked after the 100% charge, we had a range of 304 miles. And this was after we had already been running, and it's a 4-wheel drive. So that's pretty darn good.
That's good mileage for a car.
It is
That's
good
more than I
car.
get in my gas car.
Well, with an EV, I think it's wonderful. I mean, you don't run it much below 20, but it's still that I was amazed it was up over 300 in this winter here. So it's cold.
I
So
only get about
that's all our good
280.
news.
I have an 18-gallon tank and I only get about 280 miles.
I'm thinking my Prius is sat in the garage and we didn't fill it up once in the month of February at Costco. Not once. Or not once in the month of January, I should say. We just got our bill, you know, with the refund check. We didn't get gas at Costco, not once in January. That's amazing. Because we have 2 cars.
Last year when I had my Kia plug-in hybrid, and it had a 12-gallon gas tank. It hasn't been that small since the days of the MGA that I had when I was a kid. But I probably filled that tank up, if I had to guess, no more than 4 times in 2023. And,
Oh my, well, no, we used our Prius.
so,
We still use it. I mean, over 10,000 miles. I would say we definitely used our car, but it was just amazing. No gas bill.
and
Anyway.
that's what I'm looking forward with this thing behind me is just running it. We've had some great solar days here in Florida over the last 2 weeks. Just about every day has been absolutely clear skies with no clouds whatsoever, not even high cirrus. So I can charge to 80%, which is what I've set the limit to on mine.
Right.
And I can do it all on solar. And that's fine with me as long as we can keep getting sunny days. I know we're going to eventually get into the days of half sun where the afternoons are thunder bumpers and rainstorms, but that's usually late May, early June when the weather switches.
How do you direct your car just to use solar? I mean, we have solar too, but what we do is we give it back to Puget Power, and then they pay us about $1,500 a year for the energy that we give back to them.
Duke Energy is our supplier, and they
Okay.
credit you kilowatt hours every month. So
Right.
kilowatt hours in, you see kilowatt hours used, kilowatt hours generated, they subtract
Right.
two, and then it used to be 13 cents a kilowatt hour on average, including the tax and everything else if you added it in. Now it's 18.5 cents a kilowatt hour.
Well,
which
that's
is
much
still-
better rate than I get.
Still not bad. But
But okay,
if I can cover the expenses of the house, the usage of the house, and then look and see, say about 10 o'clock, my solar would be producing about 7,500 kilowatt hours, and the house will be using about 2,500 to 3,000, as long as Joyce isn't doing the wash or running the dishwasher or something like that. And then I'll plug the car in, and that'll raise and I can adjust the amperage of my charger. So I'll adjust the amperage to about 25 amps. The range is 16 to 48 with my new one. And if I set it right around 25 amps, I can look at a Sense app that I have and watch the amount of sun and bit generation and the amount of usage in the house. Try to
Okay.
balance them out. So that pretty much between 10 and 2 is pretty much the highest production time. So it'll just
All
about balance it out.
Yeah, I can't do that in the winter here. We're down at 20%, So that's why I say we get that refund check once a year, because in the summer we create a lot. In the winter, it's much slower. But anyway, hello to everybody. And that's my new tech story at the moment.
Now, I have an EV question, Mike.
Okay.
My niece works for a company that pays for her gas, or up until recently paid for her gas. Have you read in all of your research, companies that reimburse for gas charges? She now has an electric car that she can plug in and charge it from her house. Has anybody announced any kind of policies or what companies are doing in general with regard to reimbursing for electricity?
I would think like the VA will reimburse you for mileage traveled to go to their clinics. And I would think that they would just have to do it based on mileage, not so much on the price of gasoline. So
In my state, they charge us on DMV $275 a year beyond DMV fees to pay for roads, because we don't pay gasoline tax. So there's
Yeah,
that added part too.
She was putting it on her company credit card rather than
Ah.
getting reimbursed for miles.
Okay, well,
they're
I
gonna
think
have
the only
to figure
fair way is if
something
we
out.
all pay per mile.
Yeah, they're
That
gonna
would
have
have been perhaps a good reason for her to consider not getting an EV and staying with gas.
Well, it wasn't her choice. They provided her with it.
Ah,
Oh, maybe they're not gonna pay.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
so if you get free transportation, but then is she using her own electricity to recharge, or is she recharging it at work?
Yeah, she's plugging it into the company had paid. the company paid to install a electric charger in her garage.
Okay,
Well, most of the chargers are smart, and there's an app. I've got one on mine. I'm sure Donna has on hers. And the app can actually show you the number of kilowatt hours that you've used to charge in a particular time, and keep a running total. So if you can actually provide a running total of the kilowatt hours used that passes through your charger, and then show your electric bill and the charge per kilowatt hour, you could probably provide the company with enough information to get reimbursed if they would accept it. That's the key.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah, I
they've
don't know
given
what
her
to
the
do.
vehicle, she didn't have a cost to buy it. And it's just the cost to run it that she's experiencing now.
Yes.
I see Patrick is here and has unmuted. What's happening in your end of the world, Patrick?
I am going to have a very interesting experience tomorrow because I am unpackaging a Power Mac G5, if you know what that is. It's this humongous aluminum 60-pound behemoth that was made back in the late 90s because a designer who he works as a designer for himself, but he is also the boss of the design team of an unusually named company called I got to get this right. Sunday. The last name of the company is Sunday Cool, spelled with a K. They are located in Tavares, and they specialize in providing printed T-shirts for churches all over the world. That company last year did $20 million in volume. And he prefers to use an old graphic design app called, I got to remember the name of this thing. It's called Freehand. But the Freehand was purchased it was an independent company and was purchased by Adobe back in the late 90s or early 80s. And the version that is available to him, because he didn't keep the original installer and doesn't have the serial number, will only run in a PowerPC 32-bit environment. So I went online and found one available in Lakeland, and it was just delivered earlier this evening. And I'm going to take it out of this enormous cardboard box and set it up, and he's going to come in tomorrow. He had what he thinks is a legitimate installer, and I found some software, some serial numbers available for it. So we're going to see if we can make it possible for him to use freehand for his own design work. And the design staff of Sunday Cool is 100% Mac. As a matter of fact, the whole company is 100% Mac. So that's going to be an interesting experience for me tomorrow.
Sounds interesting. Take some pictures.
I will. I'll be glad to. This is the first Zoom meeting that I have attended in probably a year and a half. So I had a little bit of difficulty trying to figure out how to join the meeting, but I finally remembered you've got to have the two long numbers to be able to join the meeting. And I'm glad that Stan stopped by earlier today on his way back home from a doctor's visit, and he made sure that I was aware of the meeting tonight, and he had to call me to remind me to join the meeting. So that's why I was a little late in coming.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this last week and realized that it was the wrong Tuesday of the month. And then I looked, and actually it was Ted Goodwin that reminded me, because he had been incommunicado for a while, trying to get back into his communications, and Sean
I'm
Kane
having a little,
got him going.
I'm having a little bit of difficulty understanding the background, Mike, that is behind you. Yeah, are you sitting outside,
No,
or is
with
that a
with the proper video card and circuitry, you can click on the video icon in the lower left of your screen, which looks like a camera. There's a little tilde pointing upwards, and you can click on that, and then it'll say virtual background.
Oh, cool.
And
Okay.
if your graphics is powerful enough, it will let you put any image. It gives you, let me just see here. It gives
Yeah, you can choose background or blur background.
virtual background, right? So I can, there's a rocket launch from the
Okay,
Cape.
I see it. That's cool. I think that's very cool. In the
And then-
lower left hand corner of my Zoom screen, there is an icon of a microphone, and to the right of that, there's an icon with a video camera with a red slash through it, and underneath it says "Start Video."
Okay,
That's
click
the one
on
you're-
click on
is
that,
that
and click on that, and you'll start your video.
Right. You're not seeing the
There you
little
are.
up arrow that you're not seeing the little up arrow.
Now he should
'cause-
see the up arrow.
Now we see
Yeah.
it.
Right next, it'll say stop video, and to the right of that, there should be a little tilde pointing up.
So until I clicked that start video, you couldn't see me.
Correct.
Oh, I
No.
see. Okay. All
Now
right.
we
And
got-
to the right of the start video, there's a caret pointing
That's it.
upward.
That's it.
And
Yes.
so I click on that caret.
And it should say choose video background if you're,
Yeah, it says choose video background, choose video filter, choose avatar, da 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 da. Okay, I understand. Okay. Okay, I think that's
Yep.
that's kind of cool.
yep.
Yep.
I don't recognize some of the at the top of my video of my screen. On the left-hand side, I see just a name with a hand pointing up, Murray Strome.
Murray
And-
is from the
Yeah.
opposite end of the world. Well,
I'm in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada.
there you go.
Oh,
Not far from where Ron Brown lives.
okay.
Yes.
Then to the right, I see a little circle of my face, and then to the right of that, I see Stan,
Yep.
and then to the right of that, I see the view of an inside of a room with a tiger picture on
Oh,
the
yes,
back
that's
wall.
Paul's house.
That's Paul Colton.
Okay, and then I see the person who's on my screen now, and I don't recognize that person. Who are you that's on my screen now?
Harry Hauser.
Drew King.
Oh, Drew King.
Oh,
Drew
Drew
King?
King. I'm from Sarasota, Florida.
Okay, now I see, and then to the right of that, I see Mike. And then, but in the bottom left-hand corner, in the bottom bar of the Zoom screen, to the right of stop video, I see the word participants and the number 10.
Yep.
Yes.
Does that mean there are 10 people in this conference?
At the moment, yes.
Oh, okay. And how do I see the rest of them?
Okay, up in
Now-
the upper right-hand corner, there should be an icon that looks like 9 dots and the word view.
Yes, I see the word view.
Click on that and choose gallery.
Choose gallery. Got it? Oh, now I see. Okay. Okay. Now I see most
You should
everybody.
see
I
all
s-
10 of us now.
where was Donna when she was participating?
Donna, you want to
Off
say
to the
where you're from?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Whoops. I'm from
And-
Washington State and I turn my camera off. It's just habit.
Oh, okay, okay, all right.
So, I mean, I have the right to, and I mute because my husband will talk and not be aware I'm on a seminar. So I just turn everything off, but I listen.
Okay, now in the, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And in the bottom row, I have two pictures. One is a redheaded fellow with dark glasses on. Who's that?
That's me.
Yep.
Where are
That's
you
who?
from, Steve?
He sits very still.
Oh, and
Yes.
where's Barry?
Barry? I don't see a Barry.
I don't see a Barry.
Is that, I know, Steve Parker.
Yep.
Right,
Okay,
yes.
where is Steve physically?
He's behind
You
the picture.
ever heard of Niagara Falls?
I have.
Yeah, well, that's where I am.
Thank God you're in Niagara Falls and not me. And then
Yeah,
I
'cause-
see Clark Walker, and all I see is an American flag and some corn stalks.
Yep.
Say hi,
That's-
Clark. Unmute and say hi, Clark.
Okay, got you. And
It's
and
not-
I, what I thought when I joined the Zoom is that the people participating would be local participating members of CFCS, but that's not the case at all.
Well, what happened, of course, you're well aware of the pandemic.
Yes.
And when we stopped going to the American Legion in Castleberry for our meetings and to Denny's for our Tech-SIG, we investigated all kinds of video conferencing systems. And it took over a year to finally settle on Zoom. Meanwhile, another group formed called Tech for Senior. Tech for Senior is run by Ron Brown and Huey Poplock. Huey, of course, is from our group. And Huey moved down to Bradenton and then joined the Sarasota Technology User Group, of which Drew King is a member and an officer. So that kind of brought them in. And then Huey would advertise our Windows SIG to people in the Tech for Senior meeting, which is every Monday at noon Eastern time. That group has Zoom conferences every week and usually has over 100 participants every Monday. And you're seeing members of that who Huey would talk about our Tech-SIG, and they joined our Tech-SIG, they got our emails, and they've come in to chat with us. And so we've just opened it up and it broadens our horizons.
Got you.
Yeah.
And are all of the members whose names and faces that I see members of a local computer user group or past tense?
I'm
Some,
a long way from you. I haven't been to Florida in probably 10 years.
Okay.
And I never
Okay.
belonged to any groups down there.
And as Donna,
Is there a
is it-
presentation scheduled for this evening?
I'm sorry, Marty, what was the question?
Is there anybody planning to make a presentation of anything tonight?
Well,
We
we're
never
just
do
going to
that.
generally talk, but I'm going to show the Discord BBS again and how it's developed.
The what?
The Discord
couple.
BBS that we're using to support the CFCS.
Okay. the
Are
Discord-
are you, Mike,
what
are
is
you,
that, Discord BDS? What's that?
Well, all
So
right.
explain.
Mike, are you actually telling me you are going to start up an old traditional BBS telephone thing?
There it is.
Oh, for God's sakes, Ungerman?
It's not,
She built it
it's
up from
not
scratch.
on, but it's not on the telephone. It's the internet age. Okay.
So
So
how does this work?
Well, as you can see, like an
The
old
same way.
PBS did, it's got groups, it's got channels. All the way down the left-hand side, you can see we've got comments and our main meeting area and our Tech-SIG area, which once we get the video to be posted here, our Apple SIG, which isn't too active these days, Huey's Windows SIG, Association of PC User Groups. Here's a channel for the Tech for Senior, which is every Monday, and the last posting is the video for last Monday's presentation. If you'll recall, we would pass an Ask It basket around at our meetings and have people
Yeah.
drop in cards and ask questions.
This is so cool. I can't believe you found it.
And Android and Apple and Linux and Windows and artificial intelligence, which Huey's contributed to, Chromebooks, sort of a stream of thought on things that aren't otherwise categorized technology-wise, electric vehicles, health and fitness, phones, photography, security, streaming services, televisions, utilities, and just people who want to chat about stuff. So
And each one of these, when this thing becomes activated, is going to work like Zoom, but it's a different application.
well, it is on the internet and it is activated and it's there now. And I have sent out an invitation previously in the Tech-SIG, but I'll send it out again and you'll get an application to join it if you wish. You can see we have 38 members right now. Many joined us way back. Let's see if I go back up here to admin. We actually started this back in 2020. So 6
for
years
goodness
ago.
sake.
And we played around with it because people weren't visiting our website. And I find again, where people aren't visiting the website, it's really not being kept up. We don't have an active webmaster. So this is easy that anyone can post. And if we do,
So this is a text only
Well,
way to communicate.
it's text, chat. If you look down here in the corner, we can
Yeah.
have audio conferences and we can have video face-to-face conferences.
Okay.
The
So-
video is not as
Yeah,
good.
you can do face-to-face or
Yeah.
audio.
Yep, the video is not quite as good as Zoom is, or at least it wasn't when we tested it. And we did actually have a SIG meeting using Discord just to try it out. And even our board of directors set up a meeting. So there's one of our board of directors meetings back in 6/18 of 2020. And that didn't really work, at least.
And does this mic require an application you install on your computer?
You can access it strictly in a web browser, but they
Right.
have native Windows, Mac, Linux, and Android apps. So this,
So there,
I'm running this as a Windows app right now.
okay, so I could go someplace and download and install Discord on my Mac.
Yes,
Okay,
Yes.
got it.
yes.
Yep. It's either I don't know whether it's discord.org or net or com or
I think it's .com. Discord.com. Hang on, it's easy
It's
to,
kind of an interesting name for a communications tool.
yes,
it was
called
chosen that way on purpose.
Discord. Yeah. Oh, okay, all right, I understand.
They did it on purpose.
so let me just, let me get this here where I can actually get to it.
.com,
Yeah,
Discord.com.
here we go. There it is.
Okay,
Yep. There it is. And there's a download button.
Yeah, download for Windows, and then they've got, I'm using a native Ubuntu app on my notebook. And that works pretty good. And I have it on my Android phone. I don't like the interface of the Android phone But if I'm just sitting in my recliner watching TV and something looks interesting that I want to post immediately to one of the Discord channels, then
Okay,
I'll do that on using my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah,
Okay,
the
I
computer
have-
is better.
Get back up on it.
Mike, I think I shared before that I tried the link and I'm using Linux Mint and I wasn't able to get it going. So I guess send it again. I'll try once more.
Let me just look and see how I found it. Of course, I'm not on there now, but let's see. Discord.
Don't worry about, just send me something and I'll try. I don't, because I'm on the iPad here with
Yeah.
this.
and you
Yeah.
can actually transfer a file from one participant to another
Yes, you could, if that's what you wish to do.
through the Discord interface.
Yeah, if you're
Yeah.
using a Debian version, one of the downloads is Discord.
Yeah. If you
Deb.
go to discord.com, it looks at your operating system, and on the front page, it will either say download for Windows or download for Linux.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. Mike, several years ago, I remember you became
Yeah,
very
I know.
interested in Chromebooks. Have you left Windows and Mac behind? Are you a Chrome person?
Huey is our Chromebooks guru.
Okay.
And
And
I live on Chromebooks every day. You have a Chromebook question?
No, I don't. I just wondered, in my store, I'm sitting in my computer shop in Winter Park on Howell Branch Road. And every once in a while, I will have a person that owns a Chrome laptop from
Hmm.
one or the other manufacturers come in with a problem. And I try to have at least one Chromebook for sale at all times. I have one now, a 15-inch.
Murray's
Mhm.
had his hand up for a while. Why don't we give Murray a chance? Go ahead, Murray. You're muted.
Maybe he stepped away for a moment.
He might have gone to sleep. Sorry. Maybe we went for a cup of coffee.
Well,
I'll lower his hand and then when he comes back, I think I can.
yeah. Then
Yeah.
when he comes,
Yeah.
when he comes back, I'll do my presentation.
Who is the host of this Zoom meeting we're having?
Mr. Wallner.
Oh, okay.
Although I have a tendency to jump in, but go ahead, Stan. Be host again.
We've gotten kind of away from the normal back at Denny's where we went around the room and everybody got 5 or 10 minutes. And it's been fun and interesting, but and I wanted to make a quick comment, Mike. You mentioned now how the Zoom kind of got started a year or so after we got into the COVID. That's not actually correct, because when Huey moved to Bradenton, we were using Zoom meetings. He would do the WinSig at the library, or we were doing them in other physical places, and then following it with our main meeting in a face-to-face version. So we were doing that for 3 or 4 years before the COVID. Just a small point.
Initially, Zoom had a direct association with the People's Republic of China. They owned the software. They had all the support and distribution of it. There was a lot of concern, even in our own government, as to its use. And I don't know the geopolitics of what actually took place, but eventually our government forced them to set up a U.S. corporation and do all of the development out on the West Coast, do the distribution from there, not have any of the Zoom servers allowed to be in China. And it has become its own thing. So I guess there isn't any concern that that's a problem anymore. But we had tried not Gypsy, something that sounds like Gypsy, Gypsy. I know,
JIT,
Oh, you're talking about Jitsi Meat.
yes, we tried that. I
Yeah,
said,
Jitsi Meat is a good alternative for
JIT.
people that, yeah, JITSI, I think.
That's it.
our Apple SIG did that. And when we ran some hybrid meetings, I would take some broadcasting equipment and go down to where they were holding in-person meetings. And
Yeah,
I had a camera on a tripod and I had a walk-around microphone. And we would use Jitsi and send it out. But we found the capabilities of Zoom far exceeded anything else that's out there. We tried Google
yeah.
Hangouts, and Google Hangouts worked to some extent, but again, it had buffering problems.
You
Yeah.
want to hear it?
Um,
You want to hear an interesting story about Patrick's first exposure to Zoom?
Go ahead.
So 2-3 years ago, it was on a Sunday, as I recall. A tall, handsome black man came in with 2 kids, probably like 3rd or 4th graders. And I had a computer set up in the front part of my shop. And he asked if he could use the computer to communicate with his wife. And he sat down at the computer and installed the software. And pretty soon he was talking to his wife,
come on.
who had 2 days before landed in what is the name of the capital city of Saudi Arabia? Riyadh, is that?
Riyadh.
Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where she had started her new job as she worked for Salesforce, if you know who that company is. And he was talking to her over Zoom about the final arrangements for the 2 kids and their household belongings to be packed up and get on an airplane. And he was going to leave on the airplane the next day to join her in Saudi Arabia. And I was absolutely dumbfounded. I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And that's my story. And if I don't quit this and get in my car, I won't be able to eat my dinner at Athena in Maitland because they stopped serving at 8 o'clock. So I have enjoyed this tremendously. Please include me in the future. And I enjoyed meeting you all.
Yep.
Good seeing you
Okay.
after
Glad you made it, Patrick.
all this time.
Good night.
Thank you.
I just let Ted
Goodman is
in.
now joining us, I believe. Ted?
Uh,
And
well,
Drew has just created a clone. You got a
well,
second?
what I did, I turned off my VPN
Ah,
to see it and then reconnected to see if Zoom would be any better. And
Yeah.
it's not.
yeah, we got your dog in pretty good shape.
She should be gone. Oh, that meeting never disconnected.
Yeah. That made me feel
I
sick.
exited from Zoom. I quit Zoom. I don't know why it's still there.
H.
Yeah. You can knock the dog off.
Honorable mention.
Yeah, that's it. One lot of stuff. $27,510. Our big winner. I will come back and talk with you in just a minute. I'm gonna hop down there with you.
I muted you, Ted, because you've got something playing in the background.
Wheel of Fortune.
Ah,
Well, if anybody wants to go next, I can go next.
Go ahead. Drew, please do. That'd be fine.
Can I be able to share?
I will make you a co-host.
I got two things to talk about.
Okay. You should be able to share your screen now.
Yes, I can. And great. So now if I go to my web browser, can you see a web browser now?
Yes.
Okay.
VPN.
Yes. There is an application that is in both the Google Play App Store and also the Apple Store called PairVPN. And what it does is, let's say you have a cell phone that has a cellular plan that also includes hotspot. A lot of cellular carriers will throttle down the hotspot feature. And like, for example, if my cell phone, I run speed test, I may get 100 or 200 megabits down on the cell phone. But if I connect my Windows computer to a hotspot feature on my cell phone, I may only get 3 or 4 because my carrier, they offer unlimited hotspot, but they only offer it they cap it at 5 megabits. And what this software does is your cell phone becomes a VPN server, and your Windows computer or your Mac becomes a client, and it establishes a VPN between your phone and your computer, and that's where the data goes, and it kind of fools your phone, and you'll all of a sudden get 100 to 200 megabits per second down on your Windows computer, and it somehow bypasses the throttling of the hotspot feature. So if you ever have a power outage, I do this for, I learned about this based on wanting to have a backup in case Comcast went out. And Windows, if you have a Windows computer, can be a hotspot as well for up to 8 computers. So if you connect your phone to Windows and then you set up Windows as a hotspot, I was able to connect my smart TV to my Windows hotspot and stream video over the internet, even though I had my Comcast was out. And you can connect, up, like I said, up to 8 to your Windows computer in that fashion if you ever have an outage, or if you're ever traveling with your computer and you just want faster hotspot speed, it works for that too. And like I said, it's in the App Store. And if you go to the download page on PairVPN, there's a download for, yeah, it's in the iPhone App Store. It's in the Android or Chrome OS, Windows, and Mac. And so they don't have one for Linux, but they have everything else. So that's pairvpn.com. And it's in the app stores, and they give you instructions on how to do it. And then the other thing was
So,
a,
can I ask you a question there? Is
oh,
it
sure.
is it using the data usage of your phone to do it?
Yes, it uses the data. So it uses whatever your cell phone plan you pay for, whatever you pay for. Like, for example, my carrier provides unlimited hotspot, but unlimited, they don't give you high speed unlimited hotspot. They give you only 5 megabits per second. So it's not really very useful. This makes it useful. But if you only have a plan, if your cell phone plan only comes with download per month, then it may not be your best option to stream everything through this way.
Yeah, and my phone is already faster than my internet connection is as well.
So I use it for emergency purposes, or if I need to run multiple, if I bring my laptop somewhere, if I go to a customer's house and I'm not on their Wi-Fi, I'll pair my phone with my Windows computer and get on the internet in case I need to do a download of something to put on their computer. That's primarily what I use it for. And then the other product is a website called pairdrop.net. And what pairdrop.net does is it allows you to connect to another device and share files. And you don't need there's no software to install. And you'll see that on the bottom of my screen, it says here that I can be discovered on this network and that my name is called Plum Kelia, which you can change. And then if I had any other devices on my Wi-Fi network, they would appear here. And let's say you want to share a picture with somebody that's not on your network. If you go up into this right-hand corner, you can create what's called a temporary public room. And then you exchange this code, ZDAMA, with the other person or other computer. And you'll establish a temporary room and you'll both appear to be on the same network. So if I join that room, it will give me, I don't know why it's not letting me join, but
Probably because Zoom is running.
probably because Zoom is running, maybe, I don't know. But, oh, okay. So now it says here, I can be discovered in not just on this network, but in the room ZDAMA. So if any of you or anyone else were to go into pairdrop.net, join a room, and they had that code, they could join the room, and then their computer or device would be shown here. So, and then the third option is you can do, I thought there was a permanent one. Yeah, here, pair devices permanently. You can have two devices that you own, or you and a friend, or you and a family member, and you swap this code, and then you're permanently paired between those two devices. So if you have a downloaded file on your cell phone and you want to move it to your Linux computer, or you take up some pictures with your phone and want to send them to somebody else's phone directly, you can both go to pairdrop.net. And if somebody else were on my network, I would basically just click on their icon and a file browser would open and I could select whatever file I wanted on my computer and then transmit it to that person. And obviously it'll work faster if you're on the same Wi-Fi network, but you don't have to be.
Will that work with a Google Mini as well?
It works with anything that you can get with a web browser. If your device has a web browser and you can browse to pairdrop.net, you can join this, you can transfer files.
If
Is
you
there any
recall,
limitation on file size, Drew? Do you know?
I don't think there's a limit on file size. If you want to transmit a bigger file, it's probably better to be on the same Wi-Fi network versus being over the cellular network.
if you recall our discussions on Linux and some of the APCUG Linux workshops as well, a lot of discussion on setting up your network so that you can share files between Windows and Linux computers. This solves the whole problem. As long as the
Yes.
security of the site is good.
Well,
I want to know who's behind it, but that's
the
good.
website doesn't, the data does not go from your computer to their network to your other computer. It goes directly from device to device. It uses a technology that's built into your browser. And I think, oh, this doesn't tell you how, but somewhere on their website, there's a way that you can learn. It uses some sort of web sharing protocol built into your browser. And it's actually browser to browser that's doing the transfer, not their website. Their website is basically just to introduce the two devices to each other.
So what is it, like an FTP for browsers?
Well, it's not FTP. It's using web something or other. I can't remember the name of the actual protocol. But it's a secure protocol that does an encrypted connection between two browsers, and nothing goes through their website.
Okay.
Let me just see, I've gone to the website. It doesn't really say, just questions. Frequently asked questions. So if you click on the circle with the eye and then go to the question mark.
Question mark.
Yeah. Now I'm trying to see what it's saying. Third-party apps. Is it a P2P connection from device to device, or are there any third-party servers about half the way down? So it says it uses a WebRTC peer-to-peer connection. WebRTC needs a signaling server that's only used to establish a connection. The server is not involved in the file transfer. If the devices are on
Yes,
the same network, none of your files are ever sent to any server. If you're paired behind an NAT, which is a network, the pair drop turn server is used to route your files and messages. And there's a technical documentation to learn about stun, turn, and WebRTC. So
yes.
interesting.
So anyway, that was what I was going to share, and in case anybody needs to do that.
Now, what is their business plan?
I have no idea. I don't
that
know how
would
they make
be-
it. I
Yeah,
don't know how these people fund themselves.
there's so many different things that are out there that are free, other than technologists like ourselves or software developers that just want the fun of developing a product and putting it out there. In order to stay active and keep their servers running, they've got to make money somehow. So you have to, ask, let's see what it says about history up here.
Yeah, if you're on your cell phone, there is an app in the App Store that is called Snapdrop, SNAPDROP.
I see
And-
that in the fact.
And Snapdrop is where PearDrop came from. They kind of took over. And there's an app in the App Store called Snapdrop. And if you run it, it actually takes you to the PearDrop website. And then you can, as you can see here, can you see that there's now an S21 Android on my screen?
Mm-hmm.
That's because I just turned my cell phone. I just ran the app on my cell phone. And if I click on that icon, it opens up a browser, and then I can just choose what files I want to transfer over to my cell phone.
Yeah, I'm sort of using
it's
P-Cloud in my home because I've got it installed on each one of the computers that I have here.
Yes, that's
That's
the
how
better
I-
way to do it.
That's
That's
how
the
I've
better
been
way to do it
sharing.
for you.
But
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
this idea. I like the idea.
It's especially good if you're communicating with somebody that you don't have a common app to installed.
Yep.
If you have an Android and your wife has an iPhone, click on it and send it.
Yep.
You don't have to go through the cloud or anything like that.
Looks interesting. I'm going to bookmark it.
And what's neat is, let's say I wanted to send a 100 megabyte file to Stan. We can both go to this website. I could transmit the file to him without having to email it to him or post it to the cloud and give him a download link. I can just
Mhm.
send it to him.
I'll let you post this on utilities or whatever's appropriate on the BBS. But this looks like something interesting to do.
And so if you, so anyway, I thought it was kind of cool. And it's similar to what Apple calls AirDrop. Apple has a product called AirDrop, and that's what they use to communicate between devices. And now I'm trying to figure out how to stop sharing. On my Chromebook, I don't have a stop sharing option.
Yeah, let me see. I'll stop you here. Oops, there you go.
All right,
That
cool.
worked, whatever you did.
Yep. Yep. All right. So yeah, that's what I was going to put up on the BBS.
Okay.
And it's a good kind of utility to have in your back pocket or your toolkit.
So when you're on your computer and you have your phone shows up as the blue circle and has the name that it made up for it, can you then
Mhm.
click on it and have it open up a file explorer view of your phone?
No, you can't control your phone. All you can do is send files to your phone. You would then go to your phone and open the file.
Oh, okay. So you can send it, but you can't see what's on the phone from it.
Well, it's a file that you already have on your computer, so you know what it is.
I can see that being useful in two places. Number one, if you're using Gmail, it won't allow you to send an executable. And I believe even a
That's
zip is not appropriate. You can
You're
change
correct.
the extension, and sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. That's
You're
really
correct.
kind of funny.
They're both blocked.
But the other thing is, if you have a very big one, again, Google has a limitation. I think is it 10 megabytes, something like that. So that looks interesting.
I don't
when
have the name of the
Twice
website
now
in front
said
of me,
you're
right?
going to post it on the BBS. I hope you're referring to the Tech-SIG mail.
I don't know how to post to the Tech-SIG BBS, but I know how to post to
There's
Discord.
no Tech-SIG BBS. Just put it on the Tech-SIG. Start a conversation. Go to your Tech-SIG mail and open an email, and then cut and paste the websites and a quick discussion.
Oh, okay.
Give me a shout if you have any trouble with that. That's how the Tech-SIG works. If you get emails, you can forward them, you can comment on them, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay. I've never tried that.
Okay. Well, very good. And I think I'd like to take, I haven't timed this, but I've got a topic that I'd like to spend maybe 5 minutes on. And it started when next door in this area, I happened to be on one day, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and someone said, free to a good home, an HP Office Jet Pro 8715. I contacted him. I was the first guy. It turned out he was less than 3 miles away. I went there and picked it up. And this printer, I think it's been discontinued some time ago, but it's a 700. I think the original list price was $700. And the guy said that he had tried 4 times to make it work, and he was just tired of it and he wanted to get it out. So that I got it for nothing. Came back, it worked perfectly. I've set it up on my network in the house, and everything's been working fine until just the other day. It said black ink out, so I needed to replace the cartridge. It's a inkjet, of course. So back years ago on our website, we had a link to something called Ink Razor, INKRAISER, and we got a commission. If somebody went to cfcs.inkrazor.com, they could place the order and we would get a 5% commission on that. And they would put it into our um, into an account, but they finally changed the method of payment, and they were paying to Jay Jacobs' home in Sanford. And Jay is no longer at that home. He's in a retired continuing care facility. I talked to some people at that place trying to change the payment maybe a year ago, and wound up speaking to a woman with an extremely thick Slavic accent, and I could never communicate with her, and it just died out. Well, Arvin wound up finding a guy named Izzy who made a presentation to the Computer Society at one of our main meetings, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, on printers. And he has a similar setup where he's in Brooklyn, I think. And if you go to his site, you get the similar thing. You can order and get a special price. And I'm not sure how his payment worked. I think he said that if you recommend somebody else, you'll get credit, and that other person will get credit when they order, and he'll give you a discount. So I was curious to try to compare the two, and I couldn't find the InkRaiser site. That was no longer on the website. So I called Forrest Seek, who used to use them religiously. He was one of the main users, and it turns out he stopped using them because they no longer had the cartridges for the main printer he was trying to replenish. So he said that Huey had found it for him and given it to him a while back. I said, fine, I'll contact Huey. I called Huey. He said he didn't remember any of this, but he said he will look it up and see if he can find anything either in his Evernote or in his email. And he did. While we were on the phone, he found the website for the InkRaiser, but he said there's a flag on it. He went to try to get to it, and it said it's not safe. So he didn't want to explore that any further. I said I would take it from there. And it turns out that is no longer a working website, but the CFCS.inkraiser.com is. You can get to it. I found a phone number. I called the phone number, and I got the same Slavic woman from over a year ago. And she said, we have discontinued that website. We no longer do that. We have a new website, and you can get cartridges there. I said, would you give me the website, please? She must have given, 4 times she went through trying to tell me how to reach that. And she finally said, I have to leave. I said, well, could you send me an email? She said, no, I will text you. She said, can you send a text to this number? I said, yes. That was 11:30. I still haven't found it. She has not sent it to me, of course. All right. Next step is I called the number that is on our website for Izzy's place in Brooklyn. He answered the phone. I said, I need some cartridges. He said, okay, what is the cartridge number? And I said, the cartridges are out in the car. I'll call you back in 15 minutes. This is 11:30. He said, no, call me this evening after 5, please. I said, okay, I did. I called him. I left something out, but I called him. I'll get back to that. I've been using a place called Cartridge World right at the corner of 434 or 436 for a couple of years. Guy gave me very good service, great prices. He used to have a large store in the front of the building. He moved to the back in a smaller one, having some problems, I guess. And I saw him maybe 2 months ago, and he said he could get me the black cartridge for $15. I said, I'm concerned that if it's not a Hewlett-Packard one, it might not work. He said, I will assure you that it will work. He said, I will come to your house if necessary, or you can bring the printer here. We will work it out. I said, terrific. I went there yesterday and the store was gone. The phone number is disconnected. So, wow, business was too tough. Now, the next step is there's a cartridge world in Oviedo near you, Mike. I called them and they said, oh, yes, we can help you. And I said, what? He said, what's the number? I gave him the information about the printer. And he said, okay, it'll be about $100 for a set of the 4 cartridges. I said, well, okay, I'm going to look into that. I'll get back to you. Thank you. So next I go to Patrick, fill him in on all this. Where do you get your printers? He, long story, comes up with the cartridge world in Oviedo. Okay. Now I know I got $100 price I want to beat, and I got the $15 thing from the cartridge world that isn't existing. I called Izzy and he said the set of 4 would be $35. I got a 5% discount, so that's $2. I think it's $8 freight for anything over maybe 30 bucks. I bought it. It's on its way. And Patrick is still thinking that he said he's the guy that he uses Cartridge World in Oviedo. He said very good prices and very good service. So anyway, long story short, if you need to buy cartridges or toner, for laser, use Izzy, whose phone number, and his website is it's on our website, and considerably lower price. And he said he could help me out if there was a problem of the printer locking out the device, which was not an original manufacturer. All right, I think that covers.
Do you have the website?
I'll put it into the note chat.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, who's next? Paul, you're back. You got anything going on?
Yeah, I'm back. Not really that much. Technically, I did go to the ham radio event at the Orlando Ham Radio Club back earlier this month. I'm part of the club, and so I worked there for 3 days in security, but I get a lot of time to walk around. So I bought a bunch of stuff, no major buys, just some small things here and there. I did buy another microphone for my ham radio, a desk mic rather than a hand mic. And I had a good time, as I always do. But it's a physically grueling, because I'm on my feet like for Friday, Saturday, and most of Sunday. So I had some time just to work some of the gates. So there's not much walking there, but you're still on your feet a lot.
There's the website, but
So everybody knows about the AT&T that went down for their software update. And right before that, I get a letter from AT&T that wanted me to drop I called up and inquired about it, drop my AT&T landline, which is, comes to me by wires. And so I said, well, what do you got? He said, well, we've got a 5G, basically it's a 5G cell phone that you plug into your home phone, and then which is like a half price of the landline thing. So, I'm just kind of sitting on that. And that was in lieu of like what Spectrum offers, where you get a Wi-Fi signal, voice over Wi-Fi, and it's the same thing. It's just, AT&T uses the cell tower signal, and Spectrum uses the Wi-Fi signal, and you still plug it into your phone. So, but since AT&T went down, I was, still thinking maybe it's best to keep the hard line. Just something I'm toying with. It's getting expensive, and that's AT&T's psychology is to price you out of your landline. They just keep, and from what I read or heard, and I can't give you the details, but I just kind of came across it. I don't know if it was on the internet or like a news bulletin that came with my email, that the FCC gave AT&T the go-ahead to start offloading copper lines. So they'd love to do it, to get rid of their, I'm sure that's a big upkeep in their overhead to maintain all the telephone pole wires. So, but I'm just sitting on it, still thinking about it. It's basically what they told me was up until April, you can get a landline, but after April, you will no longer be able to call up AT&T and get a copper wire landline. So the show's over in April. If the information is correct that I got, that was from AT&T. I did call them twice to talk about that. So
Do you know what the actual technology is? Is it voice over IP through whatever internet service you're using?
you mean the AT&T thing?
Well, if AT&T is going to sell you voice service and you're going to pick up your landline phone to use it, but it's not going to come from their copper lines, then
It's off the cell tower, 5G off the cell tower.
Oh, it's off the cell tower. Okay.
Right. So you've got to be able to, the first thing they asked me was, how was your cell phone reception? And so I said, well, it's pretty satisfactory. I make in my office, my room here, I have good cell coverage. My wife is on her cell phone all the time, so obviously it works pretty well. But the second person I got, we got into the discussion of cell towers, and my cell tower I thought was, I live off of South Tanner Road, which is like right above Highway 50 by about a mile, and a little bit past Waterford, off of Lake Pickett Road. So I thought that was my cell tower, but she pulled up her AT&T cell tower map and told me I've got several cell towers within my area. I don't know where they are. I sure, the one on Colonial Drive stands out like a sore thumb, but the other ones, I guess you can drive by cell towers and really not realize they're there, but I don't know really where there any other cell towers where I live, like within a couple miles. I guess they're here, but I'm just not sure where they are. But
do you have the speed test app on your cell phone?
yes.
If you go in there, there's a few menu choices on the bottom, and one of them is a coverage map, and it will tell you based on your GPS location which cellular carriers have what kind of signal in where you are, and whether you have 5G or 4G.
Okay. The interesting thing is you're talking about cell phone reception. I right now have I'm using an iPhone 8. Previously, I had an iPhone 6, which worked absolutely terrible from where I'm sitting here. I mean, I couldn't make cell phone calls. If they break up, I'd lose them. Mm-hmm. But the 8 works really well. But the 8 was giving me problems. A few months ago, I bought a brand new iPhone 14 sitting here on my desk. I just haven't spun it up yet. So my wife's got a 13, and I bought this 14 for a very good price. It's brand new. It's not used. It's brand new. So,
Then you got just enough amount of time to exchange it for an Android.
I could probably trade it in. Well, I got my wife a 13 because the 14 was just coming out, and AT&T had a killer deal on the 13. In order to get the deal, I had to go. They wouldn't allow me to pay for it outright. So, they got me on that 2-year payment plan, which I really didn't want to be on, but be as it may, price was too good. I think I'm only paying, like $10 a month for her phone with the discounts we get. So I almost couldn't turn it down. Her other phone actually really was unusable. Became a battery issue. Just became unusable.
Yeah.
But I got that deal because the 14 was just coming out. So I asked AT&T about a deal on something else, and they said, "Well, we're not at that peak yet for the next phone to come out." So I ended up buying the thing. It was just a few $100s, $400 or something like that. It was a decent deal. I don't remember what I paid. It was somewhere in that area. And so why I'm sitting on it, I don't have a good answer for that. But I bought it because my iPhone 8 did some very strange things, and then it locked up. I could not unlock it. I had a screen with the icons, but it was unresponsive. I couldn't shut it off. It was, I couldn't do anything with it. I ended up calling Apple support and said, "Hey, here's the issue." And they gave me a secret button push, which I halfway remember now. I don't even remember it. And it basically rebooted the phone to where everything came back working. So, but it's also done some other strange things. Like when I'm out at the fairgrounds in West Orlando, the battery seems to go down quickly, even from almost non-usage, maybe a text message, a couple of phone calls. I got the phone in my pocket all day and I'm not using it, and it just goes down to 2 years ago, it went down to like 30%. I get home and it's like, okay. And I got this little spinning thing at the top, which when I inquired about it, basically said that the phone is processing, thinking, trying to do something. And I think that what might be happening, and people told me I'm wrong, but maybe I am, maybe I'm not, that it syncs in with the cell tower here where I am at home. And then when I go out there, it's trying to find the same tower, and it's not hooking up with the towers out there. And it just keeps processing and processing. And, the engine's running, and it just drains the battery down. And I had some other similar situations where I was coming down. I was over on the west side by Skycraft, and I was coming down those roads out there. And I get out by a shopping center, and I didn't have any cell coverage. I couldn't get any Wi-Fi with cell coverage. I figured, well, okay, it's a one-time shot. And I went down the road to another place I needed to stop at, and it still wasn't working down there. Until I read on the internet that if you reboot the phone, it'll settle down and it'll find the tower where you are, and it's a happy day again. So I don't know if all of that's BS. I just don't know. All I know is when they do reboot it, it seems to settle down. But so because the iPhone 8 started working satisfactory, it still does some weird stuff once in a while. But I just haven't spun up to 14. But I'm getting close to doing it mentally, because before I know it, the 16 will be coming out. I'll be saying I was pretty stupid. Anyway, that's that's my big tech story for today.
I got a couple of comments.
Good.
Number one, the USA Today has on the front page an article, all phone companies, Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, are working on getting rid of their landlines. They're much too expensive. They don't want to have to maintain the copper, and they'll probably be going to VoIP, even a magic jack, something through the computer, through the internet. And so, Ted, I told you that about 2 months ago, that I had heard that AT&T was dropping their landline. You're going to have to find something else to do. I hadn't heard that April date yet, but interesting. Times keep changing. The other comment I wanted to make is your phone, when that wheel is still going and going, that's what drains the battery. So yes, restarting can help. But the other thing is, if you go into your settings and tell it, do not look for location, you need the location if you're going to use the GPS, or if somebody's trying to, give you a price on something and they want your zip code. But there's all sorts of tricks with that if you go to the phone company store, usually they can help you out with that. But just last week, my wife's T-Mobile phone stopped working to the point where she couldn't hear anything. If somebody called, the ringer didn't go off, nothing. She went to a store and they said, you must have a bad speaker. Take it home, take a toothbrush and rubbing alcohol and go across the speaker. So she said, okay, I'll try that. It did nothing. Turned her phone off and bingo, there go your phone works, your computer works. Everything was fixed. So that just like a computer, you do have to reboot.
I reboot
Phone apps will run their app even if you change to another app and you don't completely close it. I know it's different on the Android the way it does it, and it's different on iPhone, but I occasionally will get on my wife's iPhone 8 and she'll say it's running slow or there's a problem with this or something else. And I'll find she's got 16, 18 apps just all stacked one on top of the other. And I'll just go wish, 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 and then reboot the phone and it's running fine again. So every one of those apps that is open, but you're not using it. And on Android, they stack up as well. And it's the same way. I'll bring it up and then I'll swoosh it off the screen, and I'll bring it up and I'll swoosh it off the screen. But that's why rebooting, because now you've got a set of applications that when you installed the app may want to actually be open the entire time, even though it's not facing you in the face.
Yep.
I've got an app that monitors my backup generator. I will access that app, if anything, once a week, just to see, the last time that the generator ran its emergency test of the motor. But I don't need that running all the time. And it's always open, even though in the settings I don't allow it to run. It just starts itself every single time. So I know it's just sitting there in the background unless I forcefully go in and say stop app. So all those things will drain your battery.
Yeah, I'm very tidy about keeping apps closed. I don't leave anything open. When I'm done, I close it. But Stan, you were talking about the location services and the GPS stuff. Right now, I can't find it on the phone. I forget where it is, but I know there was an area that per app you can tell it to not use it all the time, or only use it when the app is open and stuff like that. I can't find where it is right now. Just can't find it just to take a look at it. But
I think it's settings general location, if I remember correctly from the iPhone 8.
Yeah, I looked in general. I can see it in my mind. There was a whole list of. It's not in general, I don't think, because I don't see anything that relates to that. It's under another subheading. I can't remember what it is.
Settings, navigation, location, settings, location, navigation, something.
Yeah.
You know, you always see it when you're not looking for it. So
Yep. If any of you have an app on the Android that's not working right, if you long press on the icon, you get a little menu, and in the upper right-hand corner is a circle with a dot in it. And if you tap that, it automatically brings you into settings app info, where at the bottom you could say force stop and then reopen it.
that's on Android,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
And I put in the chat a link to a website called send.vis.ee. And that's a website that is used by Thunderbird, an add-in in Thunderbird if you want to email somebody a large file. And Stan had mentioned that it's hard to sometimes email somebody an exe. If you go to this website, you can upload a file of up to 2.5 gigabytes, and it will create a hyperlink for you. And then you email that hyperlink to the person that you want to send it to, and then they download the file. And the link will automatically expire, I think, in 48 hours or 72 hours, and the file goes away.
I remember probably you talked about that in the past because I remember Thunderbird and I remember everything you said. I remember that conversation.
Yeah, there's an add-in for Thunderbird that uses this website, so that when you go into Thunderbird and you say add attachment in a new email message, and it's more than 5 megabytes, it automatically asks me if I would like to send it using this file link add-in. And it uses this service, but you can use this service directly without having Thunderbird. So if you do have an exe or a zip or something that won't go through Gmail, you can send it this way.
Oh, okay. So I just found. Let me see if I can do this again. Okay. Well, this is on the iPhone 8, so it's probably different on maybe another iPhone, but it's under privacy and security, and then the top line is location services, and it says on. It says on, and then you go one more slide over, one more page, and it shows all the apps that location services relate to, like my app store says never. Before you fly says while using. Most of them say never or while using. I don't think. Let's see if there's any other option. Let's see, air control. Oh, so while using the app, next time, well, it's while using. I don't see anything that says on. Never, ask next time, or when I share, or while using the app.
If you set all your apps to ask next time and
Or
reboot your phone, you won't have any locations turned on by default. And then the next time you have an app that needs it, it'll ask you. So you got, maybe 10 seconds to respond and say, yeah, go ahead.
and then the last choice, which I didn't get to, was always. So that's the on button. So that one had 4 choices. They don't all have the same choices. While using the app or never. Ask next time or when /share. What does that mean? Yeah. So, but anyway, all of mine are while using the app or never. Most of them say never. Obviously, if you're going to use Google Maps, you want the thing to work when it's on, right? So things like that. So anyway, or like Google Earth while using. So, none of these are really up and running while I don't have any apps open on the phone. But yet that thing is still spinning on me. And my theory was it's not unlocking from my previous, because I researched this probably a year ago. And that's why I'm talking about the cell tower that's not unlocking from my current cell tower when I leave my house. That's my theory in regard to what I read. And anybody can do better on that. I'm all ears. So.
Okay,
How about Harry or Steve or Ted, if you've got anything to talk about tonight?
I had posted my question a couple of days ago. You may have seen it, that I'm playing around with password managers versus letting Thunderbird do it for me. Apparently, there are opinions all over the spectrum, depending on a bunch of factors, whether you travel, whether you use more than one device. That was something I'm still researching. If anybody wants to offer an opinion, do you trust the password manager built into a browser? My grandson is big on Chrome. I use Thunderbird. I really don't want to start changing browsers for this purpose, but anybody have any thoughts on the security of the built-in password manager in things like Thunderbird?
You talking about Firefox browser or Thunderbird is email?
The Firefox browser, sorry, yeah. What I meant was the software I'm using is all from Mozilla.
I don't have a perfect particular opinion about it, other than storing your password there means that you have to store it everywhere. Whereas if you use a password manager, you can load the password manager on all your devices and they kind of stay together.
Of course, you're right. Things that I need a password for, I don't do on my cell phone. I'm a little paranoid in that regard. So I wait, if it's an emergency, I guess. But shy of that, I wait till I get home and do it on my laptop or on my desktop. And between those two, I still use what do they call it? Sneaker network. Take the file back and forth between the two.
You walk the file with a flash drive or hopefully you don't still burn CDs.
I haven't in a long time. I have so many left over. I probably have 200 left over. The computer I bought about 6 months ago didn't even have a DVD drive in it. And I said, I'm not going to spend the extra money. That's fine. I don't need it.
No, I don't have one. I don't have one.
you can buy a USB CD DVD drive for about $20. Very inexpensive. Just plug it into your USB port or
I have an external one that does up to Blu-ray, but I haven't powered it on in 2 years.
I do my backups. I do 4 deep. And every 2 months, I take one of them, store them in my son's house, take the one back that I had left. So I always do 4 sets of backups once a week to show you my paranoia. And they are all.
That's good to do because, we all have fire insurance for our house and keep our fingers crossed that our houses aren't going to burn down. And to me, it's the same thing. I have this plan, which I never carry out, but about every 90 days, I like to go to the bank, go to the safety deposit box, bring some stuff here that I've got in the fire safe there, bring some stuff out, and I'll take a 90-day backup of all our computers and swap it out with a 90-day backup that's in the safety deposit box. And when my son comes to visit twice a year, usually from Nebraska, he'll bring one of the portable hard drives with him and we'll swap off. I get copies of his data. He gets copies of mine. But it's,
they don't have, we don't have enough safety deposit boxes in Sarasota. I'm on the waiting list That's like 2 years long.
But
My
and
middle
anything
son
that's
is
in
my
the cloud
safety
is
deposit.
encrypted, so that's good too. So,
What I do instead is I have 2 cloud providers and I back up one to the other. So I have 2 copies on the internet on 2 different servers.
Did you try Trustco Bank for a safety deposit box? They're not a very busy bank, and they seem to have good service. At least my branch, and almost nobody ever in there. And they've got safety deposit boxes, and because they don't have a lot of volume, they might have something available. Just a thought.
Well, fortunately, I don't want to make it sound bad, but fortunately, there is turnover of ownership of bank accounts. So hopefully, they do turn over. It's just a waiting list that you have to get on here. And I've tried different banks. The bank that I belong to, other banks. I've even gone into banks and say, "Look, I'll deposit 50,000 if you give me a box." And they say, "We'd like the money, but we don't have a box."
But no one has any particular thoughts on using Firefox's built-in password manager?
I prefer standalone password managers. We've had presentations on it. I know they've had on Tech for Senior, they've discussed it. I was one of the first users of RoboForm when they were in beta, probably 20 years ago. And I tried different password managers as they became available, and I wound up going back to RoboForm again. So it does everything I needed.
Is that primarily because you use different devices?
Yeah, because I have it on the vault that's in the cloud is encrypted, and then it will synchronize with the vault on whatever device you're using. So and you have to have you've got to get a password to get into it, and I've double protected that with a cell phone code and a verification app code. So I've got double, paranoia, just to get into it. So
Another reason against it is, well, for me anyway, is I sometimes have to type my user ID and password into apps other than the browser. Like if you have the Discord app, you got to put your password in. So a password manager makes it more universal versus having it locked into your browser.
And that's something that RoboForm had right away. It's got the ability, like I've got logins to my Vault and Quicken, things like that. So in Windows programs, it will store that information as well.
Well,
And of
good.
course,
Thank you. I appreciate
most password managers aren't free, although some are. And some password managers are open source, as Drew has pointed out. So, it's nice to know that the code is available. But on the other hand, hackers can take the code and try to scam you, phish you to get you to put your code in. So
Bitwarden has a free version, and it has a web browser plugin so that you don't even need to have an app installed on your computer. You just use the web browser.
Yeah, that's the one I'm experimenting with. I only put in about 5 or 6 just to see what it feels like to actually use.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the input. Thank you.
Yep. Ted, you haven't said anything. Why don't you tell us all that that's your major gain today that you got?
Yeah. Sean Kane came over to my house about 3 o'clock, and he did in about 2 hours what AT&T and Refresh Computers and Cheap Guys and Geek Squad and everybody else couldn't do. My main email was down. It's been down for about a month. and I've been trying to get it fixed through those other people. And Mike helped me a little bit too. And what was I going to say? I'm pulling a Biden on you.
Well, you had we haven't talked about it publicly to any extent, but you had computer problems. So you were using your iPad as a surrogate for your computer, and you and I struggled, and I'm not an iPad person. So Sean is our, or was our Apple SIG chairman. And he was good enough to come over and help you with your iPad and get you set up.
Yeah, he got back my original email. That is now working. And I had some 5,700 emails in there. That's how long it took to get it back up and running.
What program? What kind of email program?
It was Yahoo. In the iPad.
AT&T still uses a Yahoo email server with redirects. You know, it's amazing to me that AT&T would do that because Yahoo had so many vulnerabilities. But essentially, if you've got an AT&T, I have it still. I've got new AT&T fiber. When they sent me my account information, they sent me the login so that I could log into an at mike.ungerman@att.com or something like that, or .net. But if I actually use that address, the link took me to Yahoo Mail. And I said, there's absolutely no way that I'm ever going back to Yahoo again. So that's why, in part, last year we set up Proton Mail for Ted to try out. And we set up Proton Mail to get him running again before he got his access to AT&T back today. And my recommendation, Ted, is to continue to use a Proton Mail, but that's up to you.
Well, the problem was that I couldn't work the Proton. So Sean fixed it up and showed me how to use it. So I now have 2 email programs, Proton and
AT&T.
Bell South.
Yeah, Bell South. Steve Parker. You've been lurking. What's up in your neighborhood besides Niagara Falls going down? Or did we put you to sleep? I think we put him to sleep.
Well, Mike, how did you get on the big screen?
Which big screen?
Right there now. You got more than half the screen to yourself.
Oh, you're viewing on your iPad. You're not viewing the gallery view. So you take your finger and you touch the center of the screen, and there should be a view icon, and you'll have some choices.
Well, I went to the gallery, and there's about let me do it again.
If you go to gallery, then there's 9 of us.
There's 9 people, yeah.
Yep.
But I come back to
Hey, try, I haven't used my iPad on Zoom in a long time, but I think it was on the top right. If you press the top right, there's nothing there, but if you press it, some boxes will appear, I think, and they'll have choices of like a matrix or like a single frame view. I think it might be on the top right.
And on my iPad, everything's on the bottom. So I think, yeah, everything's on the bottom.
This Zoom has been changed since our last meeting. Because
they're always changing, yeah.
I used to have to swipe down to get the top of it to show. But now, if I just touch the top, I get all those items that we got before, like mute and stop video, share content and all that stuff. So that's much better than it was last month. And I can see behind you, Mike, there's trees and a lake. Are you in your house?
We were playing with the virtual backgrounds in the past, so I'll put it back to where it was. Now you got my car there.
Yeah, I got your car. So how did you get there? You said
Well, I'm on a web browser, so it doesn't work on an iPad to the best of my knowledge. You've got to have better video processing. But in a computer that has good video processing, then you can have a virtual background. Otherwise, it's just going to be a blank background.
I've used it on an iPad.
Have you?
Yeah.
every other time it's been Stan up there. That's why I'm asking. Did you already have the meeting?
You're in it.
Still?
Okay. We started 2 hours ago.
I need to sign out, gentlemen, so I'll say good night for now. Bye-bye.
Good talking to you, Donna. I think we're getting close to the end.
Yeah, I think I have to leave too. Anyway, hope you all have a good evening and we'll see you sometime in the future.
Excellent. Glad you made it. Have a good
Bye.
night. Be safe.
Yeah, sorry for being late, but
I'll stop recording here, Stan. Hang on a moment. Assuming I can find the record button, which seems to have disappeared on me. Oh, here we go. Pause, stop.